Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Terrence Anderson, and I will be conducting today's MC for this presentation. Today's objective is to understand the attractive fintech market in Tokyo and the free programs available to join, including the Tokyo Financial Award, where there's first place winner wins 10 million yen, which is about equivalent to 90,000 US dollars. We will also be covering the market opportunities for fintech startups in Tokyo, and we'll be answering any questions you may have about the InvestTokyo or information presented today. So just to go over the agenda, the webinar will be about 70 minutes long. We will begin with a quick poll just to see how everyone is doing. We will then continue with an introduction from the respective speakers this evening, who will be sharing an introduction of themselves and their relationship to today's event. Beginning with a greeting from Plug&Play Director of Partner Success in FinTech, Ms. Nadine Mule, who will share about Plug&Play and the support Plug&Play offers for startups worldwide. Then a greeting from the Governor of Tokyo, Mrs. Yoriko Koike. Next, a greeting from the Senior Director of Global Financial City, Tokyo, by Mr. Kazuhiro Miyatake, providing information on Tokyo's fintech market landscape. After that, we'll go over market information from Plug&Play Japan by Mr. Yuki Kishi. Next, an overview of support services on behalf of Tokyo Metropolitan Government by Mr. Andreas Ramirez, who's an A2T. Sharing insights on the success story of TMG Alumni Symphony by Gen Uehara. Then we will have a Q&A session to answer any questions you may have about the support services being offered or the information presented today. At the closing, we will ask you to complete a quick survey. It takes about 90 seconds. It's very short, radio button type questions on the survey. If you must step away in the middle, we ask that you do it, complete the survey before you go. And okay, let's get started with the poll. Thank you, everyone, for your responses. Now let's take a look at the results. Everybody's feeling good. Great. We hope that this presentation today will make your mood even better. So I will go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the evening, Mrs. Nadine Mule, the Director of Fintech Partner Success at Plug&Play FinTech. With a welcome message and introduction of Plug&Play and its history in supporting fintech companies worldwide.
Thank you so much, Andreas. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. As mentioned, my name is Nadine, and I'm leading partner success for our fintech vertical at Plug&Play. Quick background on myself: I have been with the company since more than 5 years now, and I'm really fortunate to be able to work with more than 60 of the largest and most forward-thinking financial institutions like BNP Paribas or US Bank to help them bring their ideas to action. So thank you for the opportunity to collaborate with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government on this event. And thank you for the opportunity to help you bring the best tech talent to Tokyo. We are looking forward to expanding this relationship. So before we dive into the main portion of today's event, we would like to give you a quick overview about Plug&Play and who we are. So I know many of you have heard about Plug&Play and our history actually dates really back to this picture. So in this picture, you can see the first 35 employees of Google. Our founder and CEO, Saeed Emidi, owns a bunch of real estate in Palo Alto in the Bay Area. And this one here specifically is on 165 University Avenue in Palo Alto. And that's where companies, startups like Google, Logitech, PayPal, and Danger all started when there were only 2 to 3 people on the team and grew to 40 to 50 people within this building. So the companies that you see here became the first tech investments for the Emidi Group. And needless to say that we call now this building the lucky building, given all of the success the startups have seen in this building in their early days. So fast forward to where we are today. Over the course of the last 15 years, Plug&Play built the largest open innovation ecosystem. And we're doing many things, but there are two things that we do really, really well. We are one of the most active investors in the world. We invest in over 200 startups every single year. And our second pillar of business is we build out the largest open innovation ecosystem. So as of today, we're working with more than 500 corporations globally to help them bring their ideas to action. So really fortunate and really excited and lucky to show you such a great network of partners. As mentioned, there are over 500, so we can't list all of the logos here, but there are companies like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Microsoft. We have retailers like Amazon, Nike, Walmart, and the list goes on and on and on. In total, we have 90 insurance companies we are working with and 60 financial institutions. So really, really lucky to show such a large and mature ecosystem of corporations and startups. And I believe the reason why Plug&Play is one of the best innovation platforms in the world is because of this mature corporate network and because of the 30,000 startups that we are working with. Perfect. And then on a deeper level of engagement, we run what we call industry-specific innovation platforms, which are startup programs where we bring together multiple corporations that represent a specific industry, and those corporations help us with the startup filtration process. And this is actually one of my favorite slides. This is our portfolio slide. We are fortunate to have 16 unicorns on our portfolio, which is almost unheard of for an early stage investor like Plug&Play. So you might recognize names like PayPal, Lending Club, Dropbox, and then we have newer companies on the portfolios like Flutterwave, Big ID, Hippo Insurance joined recently, and two that are really close to my heart, N26 and Honey. So in both companies, we were the first investors when they were only two people on the team. N26, a mobile bank out of Germany, got a 3.5 billion valuation. And Honey got recently acquired from PayPal for 4 billion all cash. So we are really lucky to have such an amazing portfolio. Now, and fintech specifically is one of our most mature and one of our largest innovation programs. And so we do have 5 out of our 16 unicorns are in the fintech space. And over the course of the last 6 years, in fintech specifically, we accelerated more than 700 startups. We counted over 500 POC pilots and rollouts and invested in 115 incredible companies. So here on this slide, you can see the Fintech Partners. As mentioned, there are more than 60 financial institutions that work with us. And over the course of the last few months, we have seen more pilots, POCs, and rollouts than ever. Many of our corporate partners work with our startups every single day. And this is something we're extremely proud of. This slide here looks a little bit like we are taking over the world. In total, we have now 34 offices globally, and in the last 12 months, we opened up more offices in Barcelona, Morocco, Fargo, Topeka, Osaka, Johannesburg, Detroit, Toronto, and are planning to open up Atlanta and Chicago in the US for FinTech in 2021. So our goal is to drive innovation by connecting corporations, investors, and startups worldwide. And when it comes down to it, we would like to get you involved. If you are a mentor, if you are a startup, if you're a corporation or an investor, we would love to work with you and get you involved in the open innovation ecosystem. So if you are interested in learning more about Plug&Play, our program, and what we can do together, please reach out. My name is Nadine, and my email is nadine@pnptc.com. Again, thank you so much for having me. And with that, back over to you, Andreas.
Thank you, Ms. Nadine, for that amazing overview of Plug&Play and how it grew in 15 years. Yes, it does look like you are taking over the world. Amazing to hear how you're investing in over 200 startups every year and have 500 corporate networks, 60 financial institutions worldwide. The number of unicorns from FinTech Plug&Play is wow. Thank you for sharing that. Next, it is with great honor to introduce our next speaker, the Governor of Tokyo, Ms. Yoriko Koike, who would like to share a few words and welcome everyone to today's event.
Hello, everyone. I'm Koike Yuriko, Governor of Tokyo. Thank you very much for your interest in InvestTokyo. The world is currently engaged in a fierce battle against the coronavirus. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government is dedicating its resources to overcoming this pandemic at the earliest possible time and realizing sustainable growth after surmounting this crisis. We are now implementing various measures from this perspective of sustainable recovery from the COVID-19 crisis. We will advance the globalization of our startup ecosystem, enhance diversity, and make Tokyo the world's destination of choice. The finance sector is especially key to achieving a balance between economic growth and solving issues confronting society. In order to establish our presence as an international financial center, Tokyo is focusing efforts on providing support to foreign asset management and fintech-related companies. We will also concentrate efforts on boosting the green finance market. Tokyo not only attracts talent, goods, funds, and information, but it is also a clean city in all aspects, from the environment to fairness and safety. As a city to start up a business, Tokyo is brimming with appeal and opportunities. So that we can fully support you, the Tokyo government is providing assistance that meets your needs at each stage of your business life cycle. If you wish to casually inquire about developing business in Tokyo, you can consult with our overseas consultation desks called Access to Tokyo, which we have established in 4 locations around the world: London, Paris, San Francisco, and Singapore. And last year in Hong Kong, we also opened a desk called the Business Development Center Tokyo to provide advice to those who are thinking about starting up a company or expanding their business to Tokyo. I hope you will make use of their services. Try to imagine what it would be like to do real business in Tokyo. Please come to Tokyo and seize a great opportunity for business. I look very forward to welcoming you here.
Thank you, Governor, for sharing with us that Tokyo is eager to have more fintech and asset management companies in Tokyo from overseas. We will now have Mr. Kazuhiro Miyatake, Senior Director for Global Financial City Tokyo from Tokyo Metropolitan Government, who wants to briefly touch on the support overview for financial companies.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kazuhiro Miyatake from Tokyo Metropolitan Government. As Governor Koike has mentioned, Tokyo is full of attractiveness and opportunities for businesses. If you review your business strategies, we firmly believe that you will find Tokyo as one of the best cities for conducting business for a long-time basis. Some large funds have decided to invest in Japan. The Japanese government is also taking measures such as reducing the inheritance tax and simplifying administrative procedures to attract foreign direct investment. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government is also actively taking various measures to support foreign financial firms such as fintech and asset management businesses. This is because we believe that vibrant finance sector is a key to competitiveness. The Global Finance City Tokyo vision is a policy to achieve the goal of making Tokyo the financial hub in Asia, similar to New York or London in the Western world. Under this vision, we are taking various measures to help foreign financial companies enter the Japanese market. As shown in this slide, we provide support to meet the needs of foreign financial companies for each stage. The Business Development Center Tokyo, indicated in number 1, is our free consulting desk. Here, experts on the Japanese market answer your questions and offer advice on topics from business to daily living in Tokyo. Then, when you are ready to proceed with the administrative procedure to launch your business, please consult the Japanese One-Stop Business Establishment Center for number 2. Here, you can complete the filling procedures all at once, free of charge. If you have a concrete plan to expand your business in Tokyo, please apply for the Tokyo Financial Award shown in number 3. Through this program, you can find business partners and learn the keys to success in Tokyo. Moreover, as shown from number 4 to number 6, we offer temporary office for those who will stay in Tokyo to conduct prior research on business opportunities. In addition, we also provide subsidies for the cost of establishing a base in Tokyo and for growing the business during the second and third years of operation in Japan. Lastly, as indicated in number 7, this fiscal year, the TMG will launch a new subsidy program targeting fintech or asset management businesses working on green finance. In addition to those main programs shown here, the TMG offers various support programs for you. If you are interested in any of our programs, please feel free to ask the Access to Tokyo. Today, I would like to introduce the Tokyo Financial Award in detail. The Tokyo Financial Award, established in 2018, is designed to recognize businesses that develop and provide financial products and services that help solve the needs of Tokyo residents and issues facing the TMG. The award is also being presented to the businesses that promote ESG investment and SDG management initiatives. We provide support programs for the winning companies in financial innovation category to establish their new businesses opportunities in Tokyo. Moreover, the first, second, and the third prize winners receive 10 million Japanese yen, 5 million Japanese yen, 3 million Japanese yen, respectively. Please check our website and SNS for more detail about the Tokyo Financial Award. We are looking forward to your application. Thank you very much and enjoy this seminar.
Thank you, Miyataki-san, for sharing that Tokyo Metropolitan Government aims to be a global financial city, and that in order to do so, you would love the fintech startups to join Tokyo and take advantage of the free services offered by Tokyo Metropolitan Government. I understand that it is also key to contact the Access to Tokyo representative so that they can provide more information. We will now continue with the third item on today's agenda with an overview of Tokyo's financial market by Mr. Yuki Kishi, who is the Director of FinTech and Brand and Retail at Plug&Play Japan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this webinar today. My name is Yuki Kishi. I'm the director at Plug&Play Japan. In this presentation, I'm going to go through the overall Japanese fintech ecosystem and some of the trends and opportunities from your perspective. Once again, my self-introduction, I'm Yuki. I'm working at Plug&Play Japan, as well as I also serve as a director at the Fintech Association of Japan, which is an organization to embrace and foster the startup ecosystem, especially focusing on fintech. This is one of the takeaways from your perspective, is that this is a great time to enter Japan market. I'm going to tell you why I think so in the coming 10 minutes. So this is a general overview of the Japan market size. And Tokyo comes up in the top of the league table for the several benchmarks. For example, by population, by GDP, and there's a number of Fortune Global 500 companies. So as you can see, Tokyo is either number one or number two of these league tables. So this shows how big the Tokyo itself as a market, and which means that there will be a strong opportunity from your perspective. And also, the startup ecosystem has been growing for the past 10 years. So this shows the number of total amount of fundraised, as well as total number of companies that actually get the fundraise from the VCs. So since 2011, it has been growing. It's growing for the 10 years. Of course, 2020 was hit by COVID-19. So that total amount of fundraise has actually dipped, but at the moment, 2021, the market is, from my perspective, is coming back. So I think this trend is there in general. And speaking from a fintech ecosystem, this is one of the research done by Yano Research Institute back in early 2019. And at the time, the market size was expected to grow as seen here. And I think it is. We haven't got the actual figures, but I believe that this is still the case. And as you may know, the word fintech has actually started appearing in Japan media since 2015. And the trend is actually has been growing since then. And fintech is at the moment still one of the strongest categories in Japan. So this is the amount. Once again, this is the amount of investment actually went into each categories in Japan. So 2019, 2020. For 2019, fintech was the fourth. 2020 actually goes up to the third. But one interesting thing is that if you look at the figures, I mean, in general, the 2019 and 2020. 2020 was actually, I mean, it was very much hit by COVID-19. So the actual total volume in all segments has actually decreased. But if you actually take the fintech chunk only, then as you can see that the amount has actually improved from 511 to 526. So the market has actually increased despite this COVID-19 situation. Having said that, the Japan investment is still low compared to other markets, and from my view, I see this as opportunity compared to other countries like US, Canada, UK. I think Japan has still got plenty of room to catch up, which means that I think the market for startup ecosystem in general is still very promising from my perspective. And one of the recent trend that we see in Japan is that there's many non-Japanese venture capital is coming into this Japan market because they see this market as opportunity. For example, Sequoia Capital recently announced that they will be coming to the Japan market. And on the next slide, here are some of the notable investments done by international VCs or organizations. For example, the first one, the Hey, which is fintech, and also Cash, the one or third, is fintech, both invested by someone like Goldman Sachs and other notable investors. And at the bottom, just in case, is the insurtech company that's also being invested by the company called Cora Capital, which is X500 Startups venture capital arm. And also the recent fintech, there's been many IPOs on the fintech ecosystem. For example, the free WealthNavi, Payday, these are three notable ones that I posted here. Free was online accounting software, went public in late 2019. WealthNavi, wealth management platform, road advisory one, IPO'd last year, 2020. And Payday, that's a buy now pay later platform, was fundraised by PayPal Ventures, Visa, Goldman Sachs, etc. And maybe some of you might have heard that the Google might be coming into this field, buying they might be buying one of the Japanese fintech players for their go-to-market strategy. So the point for this coming for this two slides was that many international players are coming into this field at the moment. And of course, open innovation is getting very hot in Japan. I've highlighted two examples, both from Japan financial institutions. The one on the top, Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, MUFG, they started doing acceleration programs since 2015. And the one at the bottom, HoopsLink, it's being organized by Sumitomo Mitsui Financial Group, SMBC Group. And this is one of the open innovation lab they launched in 2017. And not only these financial institutions, but there are many non-financial institutions that are very much keen entering this market. For example, telecoms, they all have financial arm at the moment. The one on the right, system integrator, is pretty unique in Japan that these vendors are the key plays the key roles when it comes to implementation, deploying any of the fintech services in the financial institution side, because usually these financial institutions do not have a strong in-house IT department. So the system integrator or vendors, they step in to fill in the gap. So the point is, from this slide, is that you have many players that you can collaborate with in Japan. Plug&Play Japan has been running acceleration programs since 2018. In the past, we've helped almost 90 startups in the past, and of which 60% are international, 40% Japanese startups. And these figures are, these startups are chosen not by us, but from our corporate partners. And so, which means that corporate partners are really, our corporate partners meaning financial institutions mainly, are very much interested in working with the international startups. And on the right-hand side, there are some of the breakdowns. And by countries, the US, the startups from the States comes to the top. But by category, these are the categories. I mean, it really depends. And of course, some of the non-listed ones, like any fintech, or it could be enterprise. It could be categorized as enterprise tech, but for example, any sales enabler players also they tend to work with the financial institutions. Any back office, any process efficiency, process optimization players also work with financial institutions. So I believe that today's audience are mainly fintech, but even if you're not categorized as fintech, there's plenty of rooms for you to work with financial institutions. And as the environment there are some positive perspective. I've listed three. The first, the government is pushing to embrace the better startup ecosystem, as well as the regulator. And the second point is promoting more international fintech startup to come to the Japanese market. And third, as seen in the previous slides, that the more private sector players, even non-financial institutions, are coming to this ecosystem. And this is some of the tips for any international startups come to the Japanese market. The first one is you have to find the right partner in Japan. As mentioned, of course, you can go directly to the financial institutions, or you can work with the system integrators like Hitachi, Fujitsu, NECs, NTT Data. They'll be supporting, promoting your products in Japan. And of course, second means you have to find the local talent. The finding talent is very difficult, but this is more like must-have items in the near future. And third, you have to build your good relationship with regulators. And fourth, you have to understand the business culture, because the Japanese business culture is somewhat similar, but in some cases very different from your local market. So these are some of the key elements for you to be successful in Japan. And of course, Plug&Play is also supporting many international startups to come to the Japanese market. So if you have any questions, you can also find my contact here. So you can also send me any emails. Thank you very much for your time today, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Kishi-san, for the thorough overview of Japan's fintech market opportunities. So interesting to know that despite COVID-19, fintech investment actually increased in Japan in 2020 compared to 2019. It's wonderful to know that not only the financial sector, but also the non-financial sector are interested in the fintech space. Sounds like an opportunity. Please notice that in the Zoom chat, a link to the survey has been posted, and also a link to the Tokyo Financial Awards. Now we will go ahead and post a quick poll to better understand topics of interest from the audience. Let's see what you're maybe interested in. Great to know that latest fintech technology and opportunities is on the top. We will share TMG's FinCity leaflet that touches upon these points after the webinar. We will also be more than happy to follow up on a call too. Now, as many of you may be more interested about the Tokyo market, Mr. Andreas Ramirez will share what are the free services from Tokyo Metropolitan Government for those interested in entering the market.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andreas Ramirez, and I'm from Accenture Strategy and Consulting. I support the Tokyo Metropolitan Government as the Access to Tokyo U.S. representative, where I engage U.S. companies and introduce them to the latest market opportunities or support initiatives in Tokyo. Today, I would like to introduce to you the latest series of initiatives launched by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. These initiatives are free to participate in, and this series of initiatives are part of the InvestTokyo program 2021. Here's the agenda for today's webinar. First, we will provide an overview of Tokyo's market and help you or your startup answer why Tokyo. Second, we will introduce to you the support services provided by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. In doing so, we will highlight three key support services: Access to Tokyo, the free consulting service, and the Tokyo Financial Award. Let's begin with an overview of Tokyo's market. The InvestTokyo program is led by the governor of Tokyo, Ms. Yuriko Koike. Under her leadership, Tokyo has been promoting a variety of measures to support Japanese and foreign companies, startups, and entrepreneurs with advanced technologies and successfully expanding their business in Tokyo. At the same time, Tokyo is working to achieve the level of deregulation needed to help the ecosystems of startups thrive. The Tokyo Metropolitan Government assures that it will do all it can to support you and your startup as you venture into Tokyo. TMG looks forward to welcoming you. In March 2021, TMG announced its Future Tokyo strategy. As part of its strategy, it states that inviting global companies from abroad and supporting startups are one of its top priorities. It aspires to become the most open city in the world, where people, goods, investments, and information gather from all over the world. Based on the Global Startup Ecosystem Ranking Index, Tokyo has slowly been rising up the ranks. In 2020, Tokyo was ranked 15th globally, and it aspires to be the world's leading startup ecosystem by 2040. In June 2021, TMG announced its commitment to build a sustainability-driven recovery for its economy post the COVID-19 pandemic. To fulfill its commitment, TMG has established a committee to study the feasibility of a Tokyo green finance market and is currently working on the development of green finance in the city. In addition, TMG is aiming to catalyze its own local green finance ecosystem, especially through attracting related companies from abroad. All in all, green finance space, you can be assured that TMG is taking a lead role in developing Tokyo's green finance ecosystem and promoting the greenifying of the urban and financial systems at the same time. Now, I will move on to the second item of the agenda, support services offered by TMG. TMG offers a variety of free support services to foreign companies or startups that are considering expanding their business to Tokyo. The services range from advisory services in areas such as market analysis, growth strategy, administrative support, such as finding the right office space, to networking opportunities with high potential business partners. As you can see on the screen, there are 9 initiatives to support you on your journey of expanding into Tokyo. The support services are access to Tokyo, representatives serving as touchpoints for companies seeking to expand to Tokyo. The free consulting service provides tailored services based on your company's needs, such as market analysis, entry strategy, business partner identification, and cost simulation. The Business Development Center Tokyo includes services such as searching for an office, human resource recruitment, information on living, and Japan's financial rules and regulations. The Tokyo One-Stop Business Establishment Center provides foreign companies with a one-stop service to register and establish the business in Tokyo. Also providing partnership support, a key part of our offerings for companies that have already received the TMG services to connect foreign companies with potential clients, suppliers, and R&D partners. Including membership to the startup ecosystem, consisting of more than 200 various support organizations, such as investors, mentors, information on the startup ecosystem, and business matching with Tokyo Consortium members. Lastly, the Tokyo Financial Award and Tokyo Sustainable Finance Week. Today, I will highlight 3 support services as denoted by the 3 purple stars: access to Tokyo, the free consulting service for fintech and asset management, along with Industries 4.0. Lastly, I'll cover the Tokyo Financial Award, where the champion team can win up to 10 million yen at an estimated 90,000 US dollars. What is Access to Tokyo all about? As an Access to Tokyo US representative, I serve as a conduit between US-based startups and Tokyo. I'm happy to answer anything you would like to know about the Tokyo market and the support services offered by TMG. Please connect with me to gain further insight on Tokyo and the specific support services that could be tailored to your needs. If you are based in other regions, you may connect with other ATT representatives in London, Paris, and Singapore. What is the free consulting service all about? The service is mainly targeted at startups with fintech and asset management, as well as AI, blockchain, robotics, AR, VR, IoT capabilities. The free consulting service provides you with tailored services based on your company's needs and requests to accelerate your decision-making process to expand your business in Japan and Asia via Tokyo. This includes market analysis, formation of entry strategy, business partner identification, and cost simulation, also collaborating support with your office search, recruitment of talent, and registration of the corporation. Today after my section, you will hear from an FCS alumni, Symphony, how they were able to leverage the FCS initiative and make their mark in Tokyo. The Tokyo Financial Award recognizes business developing and providing financial instruments and services that help meet the needs of Tokyo residents or working to promote ESG, environmental, social, and governance investments. The application has opened for the financial innovation category. We invite you to learn more about this year's challenge at the link provided in the next slide. We will follow up with an email once the application is open for the ESG investment category and would be happy to support you if you need help with the registration. We ask if you can indicate in the application that you heard about the financial award from the A2T Touchpoint as part of this webinar. By receiving this award from the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, your company will be better recognized by the Japanese ecosystem and Tokyo market. For companies competing for the financial innovation category, the Tokyo Financial Award is providing 10 million yen to the first place winner, 5 million yen to the second place winner, and 3 million yen to the third place winner, along with being recognized and branded by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for achieving this award by addressing the challenges faced by Tokyo residents when using financial services in everyday life. It ranges as lower fee for deposits and withdrawals, enhancing e-money capabilities, asset management tools, to insurance suggestions. In the ESG investment category, it invites financial businesses, asset owners, asset managers, rating agencies that are promoting ESG investment to apply and be recognized by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government for their efforts in promoting ESG investment. The winner will be awarded PR support on behalf of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government to be recognized within the ecosystem and community for their efforts. The Governor's Special Award will be presented to a business that is particularly outstanding in its green finance initiatives. 3 institutions will be selected as the most excellent business from each category: ESG and financial innovation. Here are a few links to some useful information, including the official website of the Tokyo Financial Award, which provides useful information for foreign companies who seek to apply. If you have any questions about the application or process, please do not hesitate to reach out to an A2T member near you who would gladly walk you through the application and assist you in the application process.
Thank you, Andreas, for sharing about the detailed overview of the InvestTokyo program, and that it's great to know there's an opportunity to win up to 90,000 US dollars. Also, that we can contact the Access to Tokyo office and get format tips for the application. When asked how you found out about these programs, please make sure to click Access to Tokyo so they know that you went to this webinar and you were able to learn more. Next, I'd like to introduce our last speaker of the evening, Mr.Gen Uehara, Head of Strategy and Planning at Symphony, who will provide an overview of Symphony, advice on the opportunity they found in the InvestTokyo initiative, and share how they were able to leverage the free support services to find success in Tokyo.
Hello, this is Gen from Symphony. So I wanted to give you some tips about how to get in for fintech to Japanese market. A little bit about myself. I'm Gen Uehara from Symphony. I'm responsible for go-to-market strategy for Symphony for Japan and APAC region. And I work with a number of financial institutions driving their, the digital transformation innovation project with them since 2017. And before Symphony, I worked for Goldman Sachs for about 20 years, leading the build out of the global scale technology platforms. And I listed my LinkedIn and Twitter, and I'm available in number of social networks. So if any of you want to follow up with me on the detail about the contents of today, please feel free to contact me. And my mission is to solve the industry-wide challenges. So I participate in a number of fintech or finance or startup type of associations. So FinCity Tokyo, thinking about how Tokyo becomes the hub of the financial industry in APAC, or the Fintech Association, or the Tokyo Innovation Ecosystem. How does the startup succeed in Tokyo, or Japan's stewardship initiative? So a little bit about Symphony itself, just to give you the context of what Symphony is, how we wanted to get into Japan. But I won't drill too much into the Symphony because that's not the topic today. But Symphony is a global secure collaboration platform for finance. We have chat and directory, contact sharing. You can connect through API, connect to your core financial system, be it the pricing engine or CRM and so on. So similar to any other startup, we had presence in many of the US and EMEA and APAC locations, but we needed to think about how to get into the Japan market. So that's the topic for today. So why Japan? Why Japan market? Is it important for if you own or if you drive a fintech startup? My answer is why not? Japan is the third largest economy in terms of the GDP, and it's very tech-friendly company. And name it Nintendo or Sony PlayStation, or if you drive Toyota, Nissan, Honda, very tech-friendly, right? And if you look at the success of Twitter or Slack, for those two platforms, Japan is the second largest community after US. Especially for Slack, after they rolled out Japanese user interface, the number of the Japanese user grew, and for that community to become much bigger. And Salesforce succeeded, and a number of RPA platform succeeded as well. And I'll give you some stats. So on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, Japan from the GDP ranking perspective, third largest economy. But on the right-hand side, this is what they call Global IMD Digital Competitive Ranking. The Japan from the digital competitiveness is number 27. And I call that digitalization arbitrage. The economy is big, but the digital competitiveness is still low on the ranking. That means there is so much white space for tech company and fintech company to succeed inside of Japan. So how did Symphony get into the Japan market? And we were a part of the InvestTokyo program as of 2017, and we set up the entity in Japan. And that's where the domestic financial institutions started to roll out Symphony. And 2017, we made very quick decision to localize our user interface, so Japanese user interface. And this was a big decision for us. And so Japanese was the second language for us to have in the user interface. So for a long time, the language selection menu on Symphony software had only English and Japanese. But that's how committed we were for the Japan market. And 2019, we received investment from Mufg Innovation Partners. And as you probably know, Mufg is the largest of the three mega banks, Mufg, SMBC, Mizuho. So a very significant deal for us. Since then, 2020, 2021, we've been focused on solving the local known industry social challenges, right? So we announced the Symphony BCP program, trying to address the challenge of work from home during COVID. And we kicked off Japan Symphony Working Group with domestic and global financial institutions. How do we use Symphony to accelerate the digitalization in the finance industry and so on? And now we work, on the remote work challenge, trade finance, supply finance, regional economy, again, Japan, local industry challenge. So with that, tips for success for Japan market for fintech, I list 4. Number 1, commit. Number 2, leverage all the help you can get. Number 3, localize quickly. Number 4, be patient. And I'll go over one by one. Commit. Unfortunately, you may expect me to be here that I give you a shortcut for getting into the Japan market. Unfortunately, there is no shortcut. You have to commit to Japanese market. And I showed this map of Otemachi, the financial district of Japan. And Japan is probably one of the most condensed in terms of the physical location of all the financial institutions. This is a less than mile radius, and you can see all of the mega banks, MUFG, SMBC, Mizuho, and 2 largest broker, Nomura Daiwa. and the central bank, Bank of Japan, and also the regulator, FSA, Financial Services Agency, and the global financial institution, be it the BlackRock or BNP Paribas. And it's true that COVID drove people to work from home, but there is still quite a bit of the local let's meet, catch up for the coffee, let's exchange idea, same time zone, online events, and so on. And we call it breathing the same air. There is no shortcut. So my recommendation is, if you were to get into the Japan market, you need to commit by having the local entity or the local office. So that's could be a challenge. But the second is leverage all the help you can get. And in order to build the local office or local entity, you're going to need help. But I showed the article on the Reuters, Tokyo growing attractiveness as a global financial hub. I won't go into the detail because I think there'll be a list we can share about what kind of support you can get in Japan. But there is a subsidy or English help or one-stop the help desk and so on, which can help you recruit the talent and so on. So you make sure to take advantage of that. So that's the leverage, all the help you can get, right? Then connecting to the part of the commit, the important thing about Japan is, in order for you to get into the Japan market, you need to localize quickly. I mentioned about, even for Symphony, we made a very early decision to localize our user interface. And just to show you, I share the traffic sign of Japan. Yes, you see the English part of it, but predominantly, even the sign is very Japanese, right? All Japanese characters, and that's that's how the local people here are used to. So it's important to localize your interface or the company or the people very quickly to Japan. So you're going to need some help to localize software. And I have been giving feedback to the Tokyo Metropolitan Government that maybe that's where the government should help in terms of the localization, because on a number of the platforms, Japanese may be the first language to localize into, similar to how Symphony did. And also, it's not just the user interface, right? The people and the operation, and you need to be part of the local association to figure out what is the local industry problem, they're facing, that your fintech could potentially solve, right? Without understanding that, you are just importing the fintech platform elsewhere to Japan, hoping it would work. In order for that to work, you actually have to be part of the local community and figure out how your software or your platform can help. And also, Japan is very heavy on system integrator or the reseller, because it takes so much effort to get used to Japanese practice. So you may have to find a local distributor of your software, or somebody who does the support, or somebody who helped installing or the rollout, initial engagement with the customers. Lastly, but not least, be patient. All of the fintech startups are thinking that they can change the world. They can, make the manual workflow automated in a beautiful manner. Everyone is so creative. They're all high-performing people. But be patient. It will take time. Resist the urge to, at all costs, to commit on the short-term gain. It will take some time. Even for Symphony, my initial commitment was it will take about 3 years. And for Japanese financial industry to wake up and the start utilizing Symphony in very productive manner. And for some startup, it may take much shorter than 3 years. For some of the startup, it may take longer than 3 years. But the resist the urge to commit on the short-term gain because it will take some time. With that, good luck. As I mentioned, my contact on Twitter or LinkedIn was shown in the beginning of the slide. Feel free to contact me at any time if you want to discuss about any further detail on how you can get into the Japan market.
Thank you, Mr. Uehara, for showing the key tips for entering the Japanese market. Thank you kindly to all of our guests today for sharing about Plug&Play, current trends in the Tokyo market for fintech, and how to leverage this initiative to take advantage of this great opportunity to enter the Tokyo market. Lastly, we have one more poll that will basically, we're asking what your interest in our offerings are and that you saw presented today. All right, maybe we can take a look at the results. Looks like we have quite a bit of interest learning more about Plug&Play support fintech companies and also to participate in the Tokyo Financial Awards. Our Access to Tokyo team can help you they'll contact you after this. In order to do so, could you please take the quick survey that we mentioned a few times? It only takes about 90 seconds to complete, and then I believe you can enter any information in there too if you have a particular area of interest to be contacted on. On today's Q&A, we can take questions from Mr. Uehara from Symphony. For the InvestTokyo related questions, Andreas and Midori-san will answer the Access to Tokyo program related questions. For questions to other panelists, we can get back to you through email. As mentioned before logging off, please, if you can, complete the survey. I know we'd like to get some feedback and how we can assist you better. All right, and to get into the Q&A questions, we have 3 questions to Mr. Uehara, and I believe Andreas will be joining in here.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. I believe the first question is, how did you ask the MUFG to become innovation partners?
Yeah, let me, you guys can hear me, right? Let me answer this one by one. So MUFG became our investor. I think this is part of the fintech needing to be in country and needing to be working with the local association and all the ecosystem. This was all coincidental. This conversation came up at the right timing, at the right place. And this would not happen unless we had number of conversations with MUFG in many of the different divisions. So this would have been very difficult to pull if Symphony only had sort of the footprint outside of Japan. This really happened because Symphony was there. Actually, the MUFG innovation partner is investing, the VC arm of MUFG happened to be 2 buildings away from our office. So a lot of coincidence happened. So that comes to the question number 3 as well, right? Do you think it's important to hire local staff in Japan? I think so. Again, a lot of these coincidence is difficult to generate. We love, the Zoom and all the technology, which allows you to do things remotely, but some of the coincidence face-to-face meeting that just does not happen. And the business cultural difference, there are many of them, but the Japanese people are pretty well known for not showing the emotion So it's difficult to read. When he says yes, does he really mean yes or no? That's well debated, that topic for Japanese communication.
Okay, and thank you for that information, Mr. Uehara. I believe Andreas has some questions.
Yeah, I do see in the chat, in regards to the Tokyo Financial Award, when does the application close? So yeah, regarding the application for the Tokyo Financial Award, specifically for the financial innovation category, that application is now open. And that application is open from July 1st through August 31st. And for the ESG category, it is not announced yet, but it is planned to be until mid-September. And in regards to how many get selected for the Tokyo Financial Award, for the financial innovation category, 3 finalists will be selected to win the prize. And the prizes will be 10 million yen for first place, 5 million yen for second place, and 3 million yen for third place. Before final 3, there will be 10 companies from overseas and 5 from Japan that can pass as runner-up candidates. And those 10 can receive mentoring and business meetings with financial institutions. And for the ESG category, the details will be announced shortly. So we'll be sure to follow up with the announcement of its opening. But there will also be 3 finalists that will be recognized.
Perfect. Thank you, Andreas. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I'm looking at the Q&A. I do see that we have questions for Mr.Gen Uehara.
Yeah, the language one, right? The roughly how many project hours. So the question is roughly how many project hours required to build a Japanese interface? Yeah, this was actually fairly tough for us when we did this a few years back, because Japanese language was the first language to build, the non-English interface for us to build. I don't have the exact number, but it's probably somewhere amount up to weeks of effort, I think. And because this was the first language and we needed to branch out, all of the interfaces, this was actually tough. So again, I think this is an effort. It's worth for Tokyo Metropolitan Government to think about sponsoring, because I think this is part of the hurdle you need to go through to get into the Japanese market well. Yeah, but since then, a lot of fintech and the application user interface started to use, it's more common to use the button than, the menus and so on. So even our interface have much less wording. So we just did the Japanese language translation for our new, the version 2 interface, and it was much quicker. We were able to translate that, all of the strings in a matter of a few days. But again, that's based on the fact we already have all the branches set up.
Great. Thank you for that information. And is there any more that you'd like to discuss, Andreas?
Yeah, let me go ahead and take a look at the Q&A. Yeah, I don't see any additional questions, but we do welcome any additional questions if anyone has any.
Sure, please feel free. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask now. We'll give you a minute to type them out, and then if not, then we will conclude for the day.
Okay, I do see a question regarding fintech company. So for fintech company registered outside of Japan for at least how many years, or at least reached how many revenues? So I believe they're asking how long it may take for companies that are established outside of Japan to establish within, and also how much revenue is reached once entering the market.
I can take that question. Thank you very much for your question. I think for the fintech outside of registered in Japan, we can share you with the registration one-stop business service, where it only takes a couple of days just for registration, as long as you have all the documents. And how many years at least reached how many revenue? I was not so sure about this, but once you get established, I think it really depends on the company for the revenue. But if you're asking for the free consulting service, if there's any requirement about revenue type, we don't have the requirement for revenue type. But for free consulting for fintech, the requirement will be only that it outside of Japan, it cannot be a Japanese company. So for example, if you have a Japanese investment more than 2/3, you're not eligible to apply for the free consulting service. Does that answer your question?
Perfect. Any other questions about requirements or the programs or contact information or links, perhaps?
And if
not,
anyone, I'll sorry to interrupt you there, Terrace. But yeah, if anyone has any questions regarding specifically the support services or requirements to receive such support services, I do welcome you to connect with an A2 team member near you. As in for the US, I'll go ahead and drop my contact for an email just to inquire for a meeting, and I'd be happy to provide you a further in-depth overview regarding the support services.
That meeting, you can also learn more about the requirements and sort of all the details. We just wanted to give an overview today so you understand what support services Tokyo Metropolitan Government provides. So if you have any questions, please utilize that link with Andreas. All right. Thank you everyone for joining. We look forward to hearing from you. Last reminder of the survey, if you haven't completed it yet, we do ask that you kindly complete it. If you have any questions regarding the support services, please contact Andreas or the A2 team member nearest you, and they would be delighted to go over further information. They look forward to connecting with you. Thank you for joining today's session, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.